Good morning and welcome to week 2 of herbal medicine making. With me, I'm Eli Camp. I'm a naturopathic doctor and I'm so happy you could be here. So today we're going to talk about acute and first aid herbs, and that's going to include things like cuts and scrapes, strains and sprains, burns, bumps, colds and flu, ear infections, skin rashes, food poisoning, and then we're going to make some medicine. First, I'm going to start us off with a video about making a fixed oil, because in order to make our salve, we're making Calendula Salve today, and I'm going to be talking about that when I talk about these different conditions. You have to make a fixed oil first, and it takes about an hour to an hour and a half to do that. So rather than go in there and start doing it and fumbling around and wasting a lot of time, I went ahead and recorded it this morning and get you going on using your great herbal remedies at home for acute and first aid stuff. All right, I'm going to go turn the video on.
Hi everybody. So in order to make a calendula salve, we need to have a fixed oil. And the fixed oil I'm going to make is a calendula fixed oil because I want to make a calendula salve. So here's what I have. Go look at this. I have a bag of calendula flowers from Mountain Rose Herbs, and that's about a 4-ounce bag. I have my pot with a thermometer in it, and you can see that I'm using an electric thermometer, and I have it close pinned so that the tip is not touching the bottom, but will hopefully be right about in the center of the oil. And then I have a cup of oil. And basically what we're going to do, you can watch me do this now, is we're going to put the oil in the pan and add the flowers, and then I'm going to turn it on. And I'm going to let it quote-unquote cook for about an hour. We're going to cook that at about 120 degrees. So I'm going to put my oil in the pan, just like that. And my thermometer is not in the oil, so I'm going to have to adjust it so that it's in the oil. And actually I'm going to put my flowers in, and then I'm going to put my thermometer in. A handful, about that much, right, of the flowers, and put it in the oil. And Mountain Rose has a really, really good quality calendula. You can see, I think, they're very yellow. I don't know if it's easy for you to see that, but it means they were picked at a really good stage. And now I'm just going to get a spoon. I'm going to stir this up. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. Because I'm not sure I have enough oil in here. This is going to soak up a lot of the oil. What we actually want is to end up with about a cup of infused oil. And so let me show you that this has really soaked up the water, and there's almost no oil left. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more oil. And I'm not going to measure it. I'm just going to sort of pour it in until the herb is all covered. And you know, it really depends what herb you're going to use, because some herbs you're going to need less oil than for others. Peppermint is one of them. It doesn't soak up the oil quite as much as the calendula does. Okay, so now I think I have enough oil in there. I'm going to show you what it looks like. You can see there's quite a bit more oil. They're completely covered, and there's definitely, you should be able to get about a cup of oil out of that. So I think ultimately I ended up with maybe, I don't know, a cup and a half, maybe almost 2 cups. And I'm just going to put the thermometer in there again. You don't want it to touch the bottom of the pan, which is kind of hard because we don't have a lot of oil in here. And I'm being very creative with my clothespin here. And of course I'm using a wooden one. So there I have it. I'm going to turn my oil on, and I'm going to put it on maybe 3. I have an electric stove. And I really wish I had a gas stove. And right now it says it's 77, so we're just going to let that heat up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit and then let it cook for about an hour. And then we're going to use this oil. I'll show you what we do with it when we make the salve.
Okay, so that was our fixed oil of calendula. We're going to let that cook for a while, and it'll be ready by the time I get done going through all this stuff. So let's start with cuts and scrapes. We're going to go back to that fixed oil now, and we're going to finish it up and make our salve. So here we are back in the herb kitchen, and we're getting ready to make our salve. So earlier we did the infused oil, and it's been about an hour and a half. And now we have another pan, very clean. Everything needs to be clean so you don't get any growth in your salve. We have a jar. Can you pick that up? It's kind of dark against the background. We have a jar that we're going to put our salve into. We have a strainer, which we're going to put on the pot. The strainer on the pot. And now we're going to lay the cheesecloth, which I finally found, on the pot. And we're going to pour the herb and oil right into that cheesecloth. And be careful if it's hot, you don't burn yourself. And good. And we're going to let it drain for just a second. And you can go ahead and put it on the heat while it's draining out. And be careful that little tail. Yeah, just pick it up and put it over the top because we're going to squeeze it anyway. Good. And make sure the pot's on the heat. Excellent. And now you can lift the cheesecloth up and sort of squeeze the rest of that oil out. I let the oil cool down enough. It shouldn't be too hot. Is it hot? Not too hot? You want to get all as much of that awesome oil out. Usually we squeeze from the top, make a twist, and as you twist it, the oil will come out. Good. And you can get rid of that herb, and then we'll take the strainer off. So we have our beeswax now. Again, I got these from Mountain Rose Herbs. There's a glare. Beeswax pastilles are the ones I really like to use. And we're going to put about an ounce in there. And so Brian's just going to grab a handful. You can turn the heat off now because you don't actually want it to get super hot. With just enough to melt the beeswax. And he's going to put those right in the pan. And just a little bit more. But you can certainly measure these out. I just know from experience how many to use. We're going to give that a stir. You can see they're already starting to melt. They're going to melt very quickly. Go ahead and take that off the heat. I really got a glare. I'm so sorry about that, y'all. Okay, so the beeswax pastilles have completely melted. So we're going to take that spoon and dip it in, and then we're going to put it in and then take it out. We're going to put it in the freezer to see if the consistency of the oil is good. So take it out, okay, and we'll put that in the freezer. So we've had our spoon in the freezer for a few minutes, and now Brian's going to test the consistency of it with his finger. And you can see that it is very salve-like. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Does it need to be more firm?
No, I think that's good.
That's good?
Maybe a little more firm.
A little more firm, I would agree. So you don't want it to completely still be oily when you touch it. So we'll put some more pastilles into the hot oil. You shouldn't have to put this back on the heat. About that many, that's good. And that should do it. We probably don't even need to test again, but you certainly can if you want to. And you see that they melted 1, 2, 3. and keep stirring until they're all melted. And then we're going to okay, looks like it. Now we'll go ahead and open up our jar. And you might want to do this on a paper towel at home, but we've done this lots, so we're probably good. And we're going to pour that. Now, this jar needs to be where it will not be moved. Very quickly after you pour, you have to put it somewhere. And we'll just pour it right in the jar. At this point, you can add things to it. That's good. You can add things into it like essential oils or other dried herbs that you have. For healing salve that you're going to use on burns and things like that, I wouldn't add anything else to this except maybe vitamin E. So now we're going to pick that up and we're going to put it somewhere where it won't be disturbed with the lid. And we're going to set it and just let it completely cool and harden. When you put the lid on it, don't put the lid completely on. Leave a little gap for steam to escape because you need to undo the lid. And there needs to be a little, yep, you want to kind of tilt it. What you don't want is liquid to form on the lid to then drip into your salve. And that is a wonderful healing salve. Make sure you label and date it. Thanks! Okay, so that was the salve. And, you know, you really can add anything to this that you want. You could make your fixed oil of calendula and lavender, calendula and mullein, lots of things. I wanted to make just a simple calendula salve so that you could use it for anything, burns, cuts, scrapes, rashes, and not worry about there being something in there that might aggravate the skin or irritate or burn a cut. Like you wouldn't put calendula plus peppermint in a cup, it's going to burn. The calendula itself won't burn. So if you think that you will not go through your salve in, say, a month, month and a half, you definitely want to add vitamin E to it, maybe about a teaspoon of vitamin E, which means you might have to add just a little bit, you know, more beeswax pastilles than you would have, like maybe, I don't know, a teaspoon more. You can use this basic recipe and so have one that's straight calendula salve, and then you could add some herbs after it comes off, after it gets poured into the container. You could add some stuff right in there. You could add essential oils in there. That's really great. Essential oils are super powerful, and we actually have an essential oil talk coming up on Medicine Talk from Dr. Judith Boyce. I'm really excited about that. The labeling is important, and if you store this in the fridge and it goes 2 or 3 months, you're fine. And that's it. I mean, it's really good. If you notice that you made it too thick or too thin, do it again and use less or use more beeswax. It's pretty easy to fix that.